I think that's about it.
Sounds great.
Sounds awesome. It was silent.
Yeah, man, that was a difficult part to start. Was sitting in silence.
Yeah, but this is what you need in your life, right? Before starting a podcast, at least.
Yeah, just a little bit of silence gets the body eager to get going.
Exactly. The anticipation, the excitement. All right, so we want to tell our dear listener, maybe it's just one in forever, what is this all about?
Yeah, so welcome to the first White Noise or Life in White Noise podcast. I'm here with Tomas Lach. I really don't know how to say your last name, dude. Was it Laurenevicus?
I'm here with Dustin Del Toro. At least I learned his surname. And my name is Tomas Laurenevicus, and we are here. Thank you for being here as well.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to our first ever podcast.
Well, actually, we did the first podcast on the Nomad Cruise, if you remember, and it was just starring you. I don't know if you can actually say starring in audio, but maybe they say. I don't know. You're the expert on that. But we heard a lot of entertaining stories from Mr. Dustin Del Toro, also known as Holger, the storyteller master. And yeah, I think it was really awesome time there, and I was really entertained by stories. And we had this idea of white noise. I don't know who came up with the idea. I think it was you or Ivan, or it's one of you crazy guys.
Yeah, I mean, it was a collection of all of our crazy minds together that really wanted to think outside the box when it comes to white noise and what it really is and what it means to us. But speaking more about the Nomad Cruise, that kind of goes into our topic about independent work and how most people that were actually on the cruise were independent workers.
Exactly. So actually this podcast is not about just us bullshitting about white noise and doing crazy sounds, but it's about the movement of independent work, or the choice that people make, and the choice that people make consciously, probably. I don't think many people choose independent work kind of unconsciously, but many people on the Nomad Cruise were choosing freedom over security, over stability, and I would really love to explore this topic deeper, because I'm fascinated by lifestyle design and by freedom and by independent work. And this is why this podcast exists. And in this podcast, we're going to talk mostly about independent work, but it's white noise. So there might be a lot of different noises that we're going to pay our attention to and maybe detour from the main topic. But the main topic is independent work, what it is, and we still need to figure out what it is, because honestly, I don't think our definitions are the same.
But isn't there a sense that we all could have a different definition for our personal white noise and what we consider, in a sense, calming for us?
Right. So what is independent work for you?
Independent work for me is being able to make my own decisions, having the opportunity to say yes and no to anything that comes my way, and being able to, forge my own path forward. Because when I just started out as a independent worker, it was really exciting, because I actually had a few clients where I would literally just tell them, like, listen, like, this isn't working out anymore. We might have to just stop working together. unless we fix the situation. Unlike in a career, where if it's not working out, you really can't do anything beyond what you're told to do, you know?
All right, so can you just give me a little bit of background? It's web design work, like design clients. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so it's web design and web development clients. So I've been a web developer, web designer, hybrid guy for just going on 10 years. And I've worked corporate gigs most of my career. Just became an independent worker last year and, moving along for my second year and hopefully can keep growing. What's your independent story?
Well, first of all, congratulations on that. But second thing that I was wondering, where you said independent work is where you choose, I don't know if you said freely, but where you choose if you say yes or no to the work. And I was just wondering, how was your journey to actually come to that point where you saw that you have that power to choose?
Man, well, I mean, it all started really when I chose to go independent and leave my old career behind. That was the first choice, was to say enough is enough, and that I got to move on with who I am and what I'm capable of. And so the first step is leaving, but I had an intention to leave for 2 years prior because I was putting money away for 2 years straight and hoping that even if I did make the leap, I had financial security. And then it turned out that almost like under a month of making that leap, I was already getting clients from the networking that I was doing for my entire career. And so the leap was actually less terrifying than I ever anticipated. And that was a very eye-opening thing for me when I went into independent work, and was knowing that I actually did leave a mark on a lot of people when I was working in my career, that I was able to, the second I branched out, people were there ready to help me.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think the support is really important, especially from just yourself, because as you said, you were actually planning it. You were not wondering, like someone is gonna hand you over this opportunity to start doing independent work, and the stars will align somehow, and then you're gonna have a lot of money and a lot of security and a lot of guarantees that it's gonna work out. And I see the same pattern actually in a lot of independent workers that I meet, and also the ones that we met on the Nomad cruise that we call our friends right now, which is beautiful. Yeah. But
I'd like to think that I can call them my friend.
I'd like to think, yeah. I don't know from their side. Maybe they don't want to actually associate with me, but I would call them. I would call them my friends. I would call them my friends, just like you, sir, Dustin.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
right.
We're friends.
We're friends. Yes, it's on the record right now.
Yeah, this is public.
Yeah, we just declared it. Anyway.
Yeah.
I think, like, what were the main reasons? Like, maybe not the reasons. I don't think people actually act because of the reasons. I think it's more emotional, and you probably were kind of enduring or experiencing some kind of pain or an itch that pushed you towards this independent work, freedom, travel lifestyle. Can you recognize the pain or the itch that you were having for these 2 years that you mentioned, that you wanted to move on and onto something else?
It actually started as an itch, right? So it started with my desire to just travel and experience, the world that we live on, and not just the world I was living in, which was just one city, one job, one area.
Just a second. Where did you feel the itch? Like body part? Which part was that?
I don't know if I want to.
I kind of suspect, but I'm just curious. I'm just curious, man.
Well, I mean, it starts down in the toes and it just works its way up to the brain, right? I mean, it itches everywhere.
Yeah. All right. Gotcha.
It's like independent chicken pox.
Yeah.
It just itches everywhere.
Right. You think you can control it, you can't. Forget it.
You can't. Just take a bath of salt and just live.
All right. So you wanted to travel.
Yeah, so it all began with a desire to travel, and after that, like the itch got so powerful that it almost put a level of stress on me because every little detail in my career that would like piss me off or upset me or stress me out, I was like, it's all right. I got this itch waiting for me at the end of the tunnel. Like, I'm ready. I'm preparing. Like, so like that was almost relieving my stress, was the idea of becoming independent one day. And knowing that there was a deadline was like, at least helped me. But then like, as the deadline got closer and closer, then it started becoming stressful, where the job was like taking over me completely. And I'm like, just, like when you're just ending school year or whatever, and it's like the last few days left, and you're just like, come on, can we just finish this already? And you're just getting frustrated that it's so close. You can touch it, but it's just not quite there yet. And so my stress levels were through the roof. And then there's just one faithful day where I was like, fuck this shit. Like, I'm out. And so I just, cut the umbilical cord and said, I'm a newborn baby into my independent life.
Yep. Welcome to the world. That's beautiful. Man, I can really relate to that thing about school. I don't know. I probably just don't like systems and kind of like programs that are kind of tailored for everyone, which is impossible. And yeah, for me, it was the same like in school. And I was rebelling like, please give me exams right now. I'm going to nail them, please. And they're like, stop being childish, just wait until the end of the year and you're going to take your exams. I'm like, I cannot wait anymore. I'm done. And yeah, I didn't actually take any legal action to actually have exams earlier than everyone else, but I wish I could. I wish I could. But yeah, I can highly relate to that thing where it's so close that you can see it, but still you cannot really touch it. You cannot really reach it. And at least for me, it was really frustrating when I was stuck on my own terms. I don't actually blame anyone. I moved to London to do my internship, and then I decided to stay a little longer and work in a company. But the decision was completely mine. It was like, obviously, I was probably brainwashed by internet and, other TV and media and stuff that I needed job and security and stuff. And I was stuck there, and I was just discovering the digital nomad movement. One of the guys, the Peter Levels, who built the Nomad List, he was just starting out with the Nomad List, just putting out some ideas, and he was traveling for a bit already. And I just thought, like, I'm stuck here in London, and we have like 2 days of sunshine every year. And even if we have these 2 days, I still like to do internet stuff, so I stay inside. So basically, I have 0 sunny days in London. And I thought, yeah, I could probably live anywhere in the world, because I was freelancing at that time and doing agency work on site. And I didn't really have any expenses or any legal liabilities. I'm sorry, my American friends, I didn't pay for my education. So I have zero liabilities, and I can just basically cut the cord and move anywhere. But for some reason, I didn't do it. I mean, I was just, kind of playing life as if it was, the kind of the scenario that everyone needs to follow. And obviously, you heard about it. Finish school, get a degree, get a good job, find a woman you love, maybe not necessarily, get married, get children, build a house, maybe grow a tree, get a dog, name him Sparky, and die. Or, well, before you die, maybe you retire and travel the world. So I couldn't wait for that, for the travel the world part. Maybe the dog as well, but maybe the tree as well. But generally...
Yeah, the tree, the dog, and, travel the world.
Yes. So, but one day, as you say, like, one day you just reach this bottom, or as I like to say, there are two extremes. You're either completely desperate and tired of your shit, or your desire is burning so hard that you wake up at night and you need to put water on yourself because it's burning. So for me, I don't know where actually it was, but probably it was desperation. I was so tired of just being there and kind of wasting my life, because I felt it felt just like that. And then one day I was like, yeah, I have nothing to lose. Well, I have actually nothing. So I have only things to gain. I'm young. I have no liabilities. The worst that can happen, I'll just move back to my home country, to Lithuania, by the way, if you forgot. So I'll just go back to Lithuania, and I'm going to grow a tree there and get a dog and all the other things. And I'll just catch up with, the regular non-independent work-based life. And today we would like to thank our sponsors. We have none of these because independent work is sponsor free, or actually you choose your sponsors, because I think this is what independent work is all about. You choose your sponsors, and your sponsors can be clients or companies that you work with. And I like to always say that you always choose to work with company. You never are employed by the company, or you never work for company. I think the company should thank you that you chose them, because you have so many opportunities. And I would like to thank you as well for choosing to spend your time on this podcast and to work with me, because your time that we're spending recording this podcast is never going to be reclaimed, or at least as far as I know, you cannot really reclaim your time. So,
I mean, I'm working on something right now so that I can reclaim my time, but thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, it's just a quick acknowledgement of independent choices and independent lifestyle. And you were mentioning about that pain and how close the goal was. And I'm actually not surprised that you said that, okay, the leap of faith was actually not as scary or not as bad as you anticipated. And I don't know about your personal kind of like discipline or excitement management, but many people are really bad with planning long term or thinking long term, because you said you were preparing for this for 2 years, and you kind of like, you knew what you want to do, so you were saving money, you were probably minimizing your expenses and stuff. And I wouldn't say that to live independent work based life you need to earn more, or you need to live in like a fancy place so you can start doing whatever you want. But it's more about really choosing independently where you spend your time and your money or your efforts or whatever. Can you elaborate on that more? How you chose to actually, what I'm trying to say is how you chose to delay gratification in order to enjoy your life better once you are independent.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really, really hard decision. And actually, there were a collection of things that all came one after another. There was an amazing TED Talk that I watched by Stefan Sagmeister, a designer in New York, it was titled "The Power of Time Off," right? And he spoke about, like you were saying, get the dog, get the tree, get the retirement, travel the world after. And he almost mapped it out perfectly and said, the first 25 years of your life is education. The next 45 years of your life is your career. And then the last 15 years, if you make it, is your retirement. And what he did was he took 5 of his years out of retirement. So he's now claiming he only retires for 10 years. He takes those 5 years and disperses them throughout the entire year of his career, so that for every 7 years he retires for a year. And that like blew my mind. I didn't even realize that you could even think like that. It was the first time I was capable of thinking outside what society has been just hammering into my skull constantly, day after day. And so it was liberating hearing that from him. And after that, I started hearing about the digital nomad life and seeing all these people blog about, working from a remote island with, internet and building companies and stuff. And then it just like dawned on me. I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. 2 years down the road is my 7-year period. So why don't I, think about it and get into that? And so I had a bank account, where it's an online bank only, where they have these things where you can set goals. And they will literally they'll show you how much is in your bank, how much you're allowed to spend that's in your bank account. And so if you set a goal, which my goal was $35 every day, they would just take that out of what I'm allowed to spend. So it wouldn't really go anywhere. It would just kind of disappear from what I'm allowed to see. And then it would just keep disappearing, so that the number that I'm looking at my bank account isn't technically what is in my bank account, but is what I'm allowed to spend. So that mental justification through the bank and the goals, it made me now conscious, saying the money I'm seeing that I'm allowed to spend is the money that I can I can literally only spend. And then the $35 a day was just kind of, silently being taken out. So I didn't have to think about it as much. It just existed, it happened, and then I just adjusted my means to what I'm physically looking at. Instead of I have all this money, I'm going to spend it all. Like everybody does, you make money, you spend money, and it's just a constant, spiral downward. And so when it was almost, disappearing from me without me even knowing it, it was a lot easier for me to adjust the next 2 years of my life, which, that kind of got me going towards that path. And actually, once I set a deadline, which was the interesting part, once I had that deadline, it was October 2016 was actually my deadline. And it came and it passed, and I didn't even actually leave until February 2017 is when I left. October 2016. Anyways, and then it passed because I was getting so used to it, and I was almost getting comfortable in my job. And I was like, no, I have to leave. My deadline just passed. I gotta go. And then I'm like, all right, well, my lease was up, and then everything just kind of fell into place. But I think it was the sudden alertness of my change in mental capacity of thinking of what it is to, travel and be independent and not live this life of, 45 years of my life is career. I finally was able to think outside of this proverbial box, and it made it easier for me to actually delay it for my satisfaction, because my satisfaction, 1, was to travel, but also 2 was to be comfortable when I travel. And that was the big point for me, was to being comfortable while I do it, so that I have the big enough safety net that if I do crash and burn, something will be there to catch me.
Right. I actually watched the Stefan's TED Talk a while ago. I think it's already a couple of years that's online. And for me, it was the same, like the same revelation. First of all, like, all right, there are many different ways to think about life. You don't have to actually stack it as the rest of us do. You know, like you have this education years, you stack on top of your career, and then so on and so on. You can actually mix it up, and actually you can change it up as many times as you want in your life. You can just keep reinventing yourself. And when you mentioned the delay, where you said you reached your goal, but you still waited for, okay, October, how many months is that, to February? Is that 4 months, 3 months? You were waiting for the actual decision to happen, to materialize. And did you feel fear or doubts, or you mentioned comfort? Obviously, comfort is very comfortable. Well, you're welcome for me explaining the word, but was there anything else that was stopping you, or like kind of holding you back?
Yeah, I mean, there was a level of fear. There was a level of, I the 1 year prior, like when I made the decision, I lived in Tampa, Florida. I had a career, I had a job. And all of a sudden, 1 year before I left, I was supposed to leave. I moved to Orlando. Since left that job, got a new job, and then things just completely changed on me. I always had the seed of Dustin, travel when it's ready, but things were changing and switching on me so much. I moved to a new city. I was making a new life in a new area with a new job. And I was like, I can't just like up and quit really quickly from this new job, because actually I was trained, from society that, hey, if you get a job, you have to keep it for a couple of years, because, if some other company looks on your resume and they see, oh, you were temporarily at this job, what's the deal? You got to have a long, and it's just, it just, society just like drops these bombs on you that is like constantly be afraid, do this, seek comfort, have financial security, and to break that away was so difficult and terrifying. So not only did I have to, quit a job that I just started, or leave a country I've never left before, or not have a job entirely for a full year. Like this, like what I've been taught, this like voice that's like, if you were to put one voice on this voice is like, you're out of your fucking mind, and just almost like yelling at you, like, I did not teach you this. You are doing everything I wish you didn't do. And then you just like have to like, keep crashing through those walls that it's like trying to stop you from doing. And then once you get to that last wall and it's like, stop. And you're like, fuck you, motherfucker. And you just blast through it. And then like you quit your job, you close your lease, you get rid of your car. All you have left is your bank account and a backpack full of clothes. And you're like, I got a plane ticket to Bali. Let's start a new life. And then this voice that I've been taught and built up in my life this whole time is just gone. It has not spoken to me ever again. So every crazy idea I've ever had, every mental thought that I've ever been able to like conjure is now capable. And I don't have to like say, shut up, voice. Like, it's because I blasted through it that one last time. I never have it anymore. I could do whatever I want.
Right. I actually would argue that that voice is still in there, but the voice that says, Dustin, you're awesome, you're doing cool shit, keep doing it, I think that voice became louder, because you still probably hear many noises and they're probably present right at this moment, just as the freaking birds outside that I don't focus on. But it's about what you choose to focus on, and you chose to focus. Well, first you actually had to beat up that voice that was telling you all this false information and false beliefs, and seeding these fears in your body. But you chose to focus on that voice that was saying, "Yeah, you can do it." It probably was very quiet, very silent, very very unpolished, very raw, but for some reason they chose to focus on it. And I think this is where the ultimate kind of choice for your lifestyle kind of like boils down to is you have a choice no matter your circumstances. Well, okay, you just got a prestigious job, but it's up to you to quit after 1 week if you want. No one is going to stop you. Obviously, it's going to be bad on your resume. Your probably parents going to think you're out of your mind. And yeah, there are many things that are going to happen, but you can do that choice. You can do whatever you choose. And at least for me, the revelation came when I realized that absolutely no one in this universe owes me anything, and I can just choose to do whatever I wish, whatever I wish. Obviously, there are these like kind of life principles, life philosophies, and things, and I'm brainwashed from probably many of them. But at any point in your life, you can choose to completely change your life, and it's all up to you, and it's only your responsibility. So it's really good that you did it, because right now we can do this podcast, and I can learn a lot from your story, and I can focus my time on actual topic that is really close, not really close, but that I'm really passionate and I'm really interested in. And my job for the last 5 years was to actually try to deconstruct all of these different movements, these different lifestyles, and understand why people do it and why people are stuck in their boring jobs, in their boring lives, and quite often miserable lifestyles, and they do nothing. So my job was to actually find out how can I improve my lifestyle, and then see how can I empower other people to do the same. And you mentioned your bank account and this automated, I think it's brilliant strategy. And I'd like to talk more about the environment design and how did you change your behavior in these 2 years? Because you're a very social guy. We met online first. I didn't know that you were that social when we met online, but then we met in person, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy is awesome. Like, he just connects with everyone just super naturally. Like, this is awesome. And I suspect that's limiting your time out, your expenses, obviously, and not giving up, to these urges to do things and spend money and time and focus on your work and, saving up for the better lifestyle that you're living right now. That must have been hard, but do you recall any decisions that you made to design the environment to help you to reach that goal? Well, you mentioned already the bank. I think that's a brilliant strategy, because if you don't see it, you cannot spend it, right? Like you don't really have to worry about it. It's like notification on your phone. If there's no notification, you don't have to worry about it. And if there's no money in your if there's no money in your account, you don't have to worry about spending it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, there's definitely certain things that you want to, change in your environment. And it was, I really liked how you said that, like, there was a loud voice that was telling me these things, and then that little quiet voice in the corner. I'm like, I like that little quiet guy. He's a cool dude. I'm into what he's saying. And to almost, like hand over the microphone to the quiet guy and be like, you speak up, you have something good to say too. So let me hear you. And, almost silencing one voice and, bringing to light another one definitely helped, by empowering that subtle voice, your inner itch, your inner pock, to, make that transition. It's a long road, it's not an easy one, by any means. It's no, flip of a switch. It's no clap on, clap off type situation. There's definitely a staircase that you got to climb, but if you just take one step at a time, your first step is making the ultimate decision that one day you will be able to live independently the way you wish. And then, okay, what's the next step? Like you're saying, build the environment that will get you there. Setting up the bank accounts, setting deadlines, preparing yourself for the leap that you so wish and so desire.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you moved to Orlando, and there are many studies.
I did.
There are many studies that show that it's so much easier to start a new habit once you change your job or change your location, because then you pretty much like you start fresh. You know, like okay, before work I'm gonna go to the gym because it's on the way to work, and for you the new environment is so new that you can start planting these, you know, habit seeds and completely change your lifestyle. So what did you do differently when you moved to Orlando? Like, how did you choose the place to live in, the neighborhood, or I don't know, like workplace and so on? Like, do you recall any decisions that you made consciously or subconsciously that you understood at that time, or maybe you understand it better right now when you reflect on it?
Well, when I moved to Orlando, I got actually really lucky because I was living in a high rise in Tampa, and the leasing company that I was leasing my apartment from had a building in Orlando, and they are actually capable to transfer my lease over to the other building in Orlando. And but I had to start a new year once I moved. But what it was is, I think what it was leaving a life that I had behind. The hardest thing for me, like the actual physical move wasn't hard. The, job change wasn't hard. Well, the hardest part was I built a family like of friends in this city in Tampa, Florida. I had this huge core of incredible friends that, I called them my family because they were just that close to me. And making that leap, I mean, it's an hour and a half drive to Orlando, but still it was a little bit further. And making that leap and being like, all right, I'm going to do this to enhance my career, right? There's a lot for me in my career. And so I made the ultimate effort that my career at this point was really important to me. I could always have my friends and I could always have my family. I don't think you ever get rid of them, nor do you want to. But that's when I was like, I need to focus on my career. I got to move. And when I moved and understanding that, my friends and my family are there and will always be there for me, and living in this city where I know absolutely nobody. And then it was almost like forcing myself into a very, very uncomfortable situation. I mean, go live in a city where you know zero human beings and then fight your way up to get new friends, to get girlfriends or boyfriends, and to, create this life that doesn't exist for you in the city. It's an eye-opening experience to see what you're capable of doing when you almost essentially back up yourself to a wall and say, I got to fight my way out. I got to get a home. I got to get food. I got to get people to talk to, places to go. I don't know anything. And to fight your way out of that corner, it really, it changes your mental, your thought process is like, when you go and you do it for the first time, you're like, I don't think I'm capable of doing this. And then all of a sudden it just happens because it's natural instinct to tribe up, to join a tribe of sorts of people that you can relate to. That one step was like almost like my training wheels to travel was, listen, you did it. You moved an hour and a half away. You made new friends. You got a place to stay. You're still alive.
You're still alive.
So why not, fly 4,000 miles to the other side of the world? It's the same thing. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, there are some differences, like probably a lot, but like, essentially it's the same thing.
Culturally,
it's about staying alive, basically. But I have two things I want to bring up before I forget it, because I tend to forget things. So first of all, you mentioned about the family and friends you made, and the fact that they are actually going to exist even if you leave somewhere. So first of all, like, how did you feel? Did you feel any support or any kind of resistance from your friends or family, or like your inner circle that you were hanging out with and spending time with? And then other thing that I want to mention before I forget is you mentioned these kind of like mental shifts. What are the mental shifts that one needs to go through before he or she understands that, okay, this thing is actually viable and it's all up to me? And one of the things is probably breaking false beliefs and maybe taking baby steps and trying, and living in a new city, maybe not moving to a new job and new city for a year, but maybe committing to living, like in a new city and working at the same job for a week or for a month. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about these two topics because I think all of these things contribute to finally realizing that you already have the freedom, you already have the choice, and all you need to do is just do it. As you say, there is no just like quick like Wi-Fi turn on, turn off switch, but there are baby steps that you can take. And I just wanted to talk more about that support or resistance you received, and also about these mental shifts that one needs to go through.
Yeah, I mean, I got nothing but support from all of my friends and family. I think everybody was along the lines of, listen, you got to do what you got to do, whatever makes you happy. We're behind you 100% as long as there's still a smile on your face. There was a lot of, we'll miss yous, obviously, but in general, nothing but support from everybody, and which was very helpful. And I also want to touch on the fact that like that probably isn't what it is for everybody, right? There are probably a lot of people out there that have friends or family or anybody who are like not supportive, and that's got to be like one extra wall that you have to break through, is having to deal with the fact that people are like physical people are holding you back, not only this voice of society that's holding you back, but actual human beings. So it's got to be really hard to burst through that. But going on to the mental shift, that mental shift kind of relates to that in a sense that evaluate your life, right? Look at what you do. Like, look how you wake up in the morning. Look how you drive to work, or how you get to work, or what you do at work, what you do during lunch and your breaks. Like, start reviewing what you do, and then say, like, what's one thing that you could do differently? Whether it's like it's as simple as, like, say you have you drive to work from home to the office, and then you go office home. You drive on one same road, right? You have the same route every day. Try going a different route, and see what happens. I remember earlier on, I think my father told me this. I can't remember who told me this, but they're saying like, or actually, no, it was, I heard it from somewhere. I can't remember, but routine is like, it's the killer of time. Right. And so, it's doing the same thing, like driving the same route. Like, there were points where when I was driving to my office, I just like straight black out, and also I'm at the office. And I'm like, how the fuck did I get here? But because I'm like, I'm so muscle memoried into that like now I literally lost that block of time, not only because it happened, but because I don't even remember it. And so I would always find new routes to go. It might take me longer, or it might take me shorter, or I don't know. It was just this one quick different route. And then to like evaluate like how I feel after taking that new route. Am I different? Am I more upset of the traffic, or has my mind changed at all on how I feel? And then taking it a step further, what else can I do differently? It's always, What can I do differently? Because currently, if I'm unhappy with what I'm doing now, just start changing things one little thing at a time. Do I do I wake up, shower, then shit? Maybe I should not do that. Maybe I should, wake up and, do shit, then shower. But simple things, just like really, change your routine a bit and evaluate how you feel after that new routine. Maybe you feel a little bit happier. There's a lot of people who say that like cleaning a room actually gives you a sense of accomplishment, and you have this feeling of happiness just by cleaning something. I know a lot of people don't think they enjoy cleaning, but live in a messy room and then just like tidy up just once,
You're
and then
still
like
there?
when you do it, like really feel it. Yeah. And I took a very drastic change, right? But it's not to say you can't take smaller changes. And if you like the changes, adapt them, embrace them, do them more often. It's, for me, at least last year, in my entire travels, I had a lot of fun finding out what subconsciously makes me smile. Have you ever been like walking down a street and you're like, what you're looking at or what you're listening to, it just makes you smile,
Oh man, I'll tell you one. It's very visual. It's very visual. It's from yesterday. So yesterday we were staying in Granada in one of these very old, beautiful colonial, historically also very important city in Nicaragua. And on the way back from Granada to here, after spending a weekend of exploring and hanging out with really cool independent workers as well and other nomads, I'm on the bus listening to music, and we're driving through the countryside of Nicaragua, and the sun is setting slowly, and then you see these animals in the fields, and then you see this. Okay, so I need to warn you all, it's very visual. You just see this little donkey just pissing and doing nothing, and you're like, no. The beauty of it is not that the thing is pissing, but like it's all of this like universe, and the whole thing is just as it is. And sometimes you can look at it and say, well, this is disgusting. This animal is just, like lower conscious or whatever, has no consciousness or whatsoever. It's just inferior kind of living being that is just in its natural habitat. But at that moment, I was like, well, life is whatever you choose it to be. And this donkey at that moment made me smile. Not because, of that visual or that or that scene, but just for me, that moment was like, yeah, the animal just is. It lives its life, and it's doing what needs to be done. And we humans, so many times, or pretty much every single living second, we just complicate things, and we just say, oh, this is not pretty, or this is not good, this is bad, this is wrong, I shouldn't do this, I should do that. People are doing this, people will think this is wrong, this is that. So at that moment, I really felt super happy, very, very present. And as you say, it made me smile. And I don't know if you can visualize it, but it wasn't as bad as I explained it. And it was just nature. It was just as it is. Not good, not bad, not ugly, not beautiful, just as it is. So yeah, I like that you mentioned the habits and routines, because I looked into this field a lot. And the reason why we have routines and habits is that our brain wants to conserve the energy, because the main goal is to survive and to make sure we pass on our genes and we leave a legacy. So our brain tries to habitualize every single action you do to save energy. So some studies say it's 40, some studies say it's 60% of our daily actions are habits and routines that we do not consciously track. So pretty much you're just walking asleep 40 to 60% of your daytime, of your awake time. And it's actually it's very scary because you sleep 8 hours per a day, and then you add another probably 8 hours of sleepwalking, and you have a couple of hours of awake time where you spend it on negative things, or you spend it on focusing on things that don't matter in the end. And I think the independent work and just generally choosing your life comes to that point where you said, change it up, like see how it feels, see what happens. And that thing is probably called awareness, or I believe it is awareness, where you just see things as they are. You try different things, and you see how you feel, you see how you perceive the world, how people perceive you, and you just get into that kind of state where you're fully present and you don't have to sleepwalk anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more, man.
All right, so
amen for that, Donkey.
Oh yeah, thank you, Donkey, for this beautiful revelation and that smile on my face yesterday. I felt amazing. Thank you so much.
No, that's fantastic. And that might be something that we could potentially dive into on the next podcast, is how to be more aware and sort of bring awareness back. Yeah.
Let's do that. So thank you very much, Dustin, Mr. Holger Delator, for opening up. I actually didn't know many things about what you just told. And I think we're onto something. If we at least have one listener, my mission is complete. And if we...
Yeah, I'd be super satisfied.
Yes.
We dedicate the next podcast to that one listener.
Exactly. And we touched a lot of topics in this podcast, and I would love to dive deep on self-awareness and generally just awareness. And no promises, no, what's the word? No expectations. We'll see how it goes. And thanks so much for listening.
Yeah, thank you a lot. Thank you, Thomas, for having me. I'm really excited to move forward with this podcast and especially dive deeper into self-awareness. So thanks a lot for listening, everyone, or one person.
A special one. Thank you.
Thank you.